Hi, everyone. Years ago, my dad asked one of his best friends, "What is the most important thing you'd want your son to know about life?" And his friend said, "I'd want my son to know that nice guys don't finish last. In fact, they finished first before the game even starts." I just love that. And it's right on topic with today's message: how to be nice and still finish first. I'm speaking with Winn Claybaugh, one of the best motivational speakers in the country, and the author of this really fun book, one of my favorites, Be Nice or Else. Winn is a person who really walks the talk. Welcome, Winn. Niceness sort of starts with ourselves. And so, what are some ways that we can stay in balance and get ourselves in the right place in order to be there for others?
The task at hand is to figure out what it takes to fill up that reservoir, so to speak. And that's kind of how I like to look at it, is that we all have this reservoir. And this reservoir is made up with all the things that make us wonderful, all the things that make us wonderful parents, wonderful family members, wonderful human beings, wonderful philanthropists, our personalities, our talents, our skills, and to fill this thing up every single day. And that's the job. Every single day we got to fill this thing up. Is different for every single person.
You talk about divorcing yourself from garbage. What do you mean by that?
It's amazing how much time and energy people put into very unproductive conversations. There are people who know more about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills than they know about the latest research in breast cancer. Meaning, where are the conversations that truly matter? And so what I challenge people to do, and what I absolutely practice in my life, anybody who knows me knows that I never, and I mean never do I watch violent films. I don't watch scary movies. I never, ever watch negative reality shows. That's just not a part of who I am, because it affects me on such a deep level that I'm not there for myself. I'm not there for other people if I engage in that, even for a minute. And so divorcing yourself from that garbage, I don't even watch the 10 o'clock news. I don't need to know how many murders there were in the city last night. I don't need to know who embezzled from who. And so I avoid all that stuff. I divorce myself from that. But it's also divorcing yourself from people who compromise, who threaten our happiness, our self-esteem, our balance, our safety. And that's a very, very difficult task. People think that they have to have a very large circle. My circle is pretty small. It's a very, very, very small circle. And I think that that's really important for people who are on that path, that journey towards becoming a nicer person.
And when it comes to being happy, there seems to be a myth that there's one thing, a kind of golden egg that will make us happy. What is your experience of that?
Not only do we sometimes buy into that, but it's absolutely a common belief. People think, gosh, if I could just find that one and only romantic person, then I'll be happy. If I could just get that raise, that promotion, then I'll be happy. If so-and-so wouldn't upset me, and then I could be happy. And that's the myth. If you were to ask a person who's financially successful to name just one thing that they did to become successful, they could not name one thing. What could they name? A whole bunch of little tiny things that they did consistently along the way.
When it comes now to having set ourselves right, how do we be nice to others? And beyond that, how do we do that without becoming doormats, which I think is some people's fear?
Okay, that's the myth. People think, well, if I'm nice, then people will walk all over me. And that's the myth. That's not being nice. That's being silly. That's being, weak. Being nice does not mean that you can't have an opinion. Being nice does not mean that you let people walk all over you. Being nice does not mean that you can't let people know when they've wronged you, or that you can't fire someone or break up with someone. Being nice does not mean that you have to wear pastel colors and talk in a soft voice. Doesn't mean any of those things. And so just realize that you can have an opinion and be nice about it. You can fire someone and still be nice about it.
How do we cultivate niceness? What are some of the disciplines or the checklist items? You mentioned a great one, phoning your mother. What are other ways to build that muscle, just like we would practice the piano?
The discipline to get there, I give people two steps. Number one, they have to have a mentor. So whatever it is in life that you want to improve, whether it's the gym, whether it's becoming a better parent, whether it's more successful in business, you need a mentor because mentors give you hope. And then the second step is you have to find people who want to play with you. So meaning if we're talking about the gym, I want to find a mentor. I want to find somebody who's in better shape than I am, somebody who can discipline me and train me and give me the curriculum and the know-how to properly work my body and to stretch and to nutrition, whatever it is. And then the second step, people who want to play with me. So every time I go to the gym, I'm always recruiting people to go with me. If I go by myself, I get bored easy, I leave early. So for me, the more the merrier. And that applies to anything in life. If you want to be financially more successful, you need a mentor, people who are more successful than you are. And then you need people who want to play with you, people who are on that journey right along with you.
Where do you see philanthropy and giving back fitting into being nice?
Again, we all have power and influence. And so for us to use that power and influence in service of other people, old school leadership is about dictating, policing, and that just doesn't work. New school leadership truly is about having a servant's heart. And there's something called Generation G. The G stands for generosity. And studies prove that 85% of consumers will make a decision where to spend their money based on whether or not that store, that company, that business is just as concerned with putting money back out into the community to make a difference as they are with putting money into their own pockets.
People watching this video may have some number of hours left in the day before they go to sleep tonight. What would be one challenge that you give them to accomplish before they lay their heads down tonight to make them happier people and make the world a nicer place?
Oh, easy. First of all, turn off the news. It's scary how many people watch the 10 o'clock news where they learn about how bad things are, how cold this world is, how awful people are, and then they go to sleep. So that's what they're thinking about. That's what they're dreaming about all night long. Meaning what they're doing is they're buying into fear. And what this planet needs is not more fear. What we need is the opposite of fear, which is love.
I've been speaking to Winn Claybaugh, the founder of Paul Mitchell Schools. And that company has been around for over 30 years with more than 16,000 employees. Larry King called Winn one of the most motivational speakers in the United States, and he regularly speaks to large corporations like Southwest Airlines. He's also got a masterclass geared toward the hair care professional. So I'm going to have the links to all of his resources in that description box right below this video. Be sure to check that out. And while you're there, in the comments section, I'd love to hear from you an idea of one random act of kindness. And that way, as we're all working to try to cultivate this intentional habit of kindness and being nice, we'll have a list that serves as a resource and an inspiration to us. You can also subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when we upload a new video every week. Crown Pointers is your source for tips, tricks, and pointers for the adventure of everyday life. Bye, everyone, and be nice or else.